however you get in, if it's at a federal lab, if it's at a university, but you just kind of have to really pursue it. Attend the FLC meetings, attend LES, attend AUTM, meet with people, network with people, connect with people on LinkedIn, have a passion for it, just like anything.
Welcome to the Transfer Files, inside the world of federal innovation. This is your insider's look at how federal laboratories bring groundbreaking technologies to market. I'm your host, Andrea Nelson. In every episode, we'll bring you insights and expertise from throughout the world of tech transfer. My guest today is Glen Gardner, President and Executive Recruiter at Gardner Innovation Search Partners. For the last 23 years, Glen has helped federal labs and universities find top talent in the tech transfer space. With a deep network and decades of experience, Glen has a unique perspective on what it takes to build a career in tech transfer and fill your team with the right people. In this conversation, we dive into the biggest hiring challenges in tech transfer, what makes a great candidate stand out, and how federal labs can find top-tier talent. Whether you're hiring or planning your next career move, please enjoy my conversation with Glen Gardner. So, Glen, can you tell me, how did you get into this space?
Great question. So, especially when it comes to the FLC audience, it's even a better question. So, I live in Columbus, Ohio, and we have a $13 billion organization called Battelle in Columbus, and Battelle manages about a third of the federal labs. And I was an IT recruiter back in the early 2000s. I was recruiting cybersecurity people for Battelle to ethically hack into every nuclear power plant in the United States. And they said, "Oh, Glen, we like the way you recruit. Can you help us find something to commercialize the intellectual property out of Oak Ridge National Laboratory?" Kind of knew what Oak Ridge National Laboratory, because that was Navy nukes. I'd heard of Oak Ridge, and I didn't know what intellectual property or commercialization really was. But I said, "Sure, let's do that. Let's do that on retainer." And that was my first search, the director of tech transfer at Oak Ridge National Laboratory in 2002.
What inspired you to start Gardner Innovation Search Partners?
Well, I was already in business. The company was called Vortex Group back then, that we've since rebranded to the word innovation in the title, which is another long story we don't need to get into. But what inspired me is I was already a recruiting firm, the established IT recruiting firm, and I had both the IT recruiting firm and the technology commercialization recruiting. And then there was a magical time when I met with another recruiter. He says, "Glen, you need to never recruit another information technology person as long as you live. You dominate the technology transfer space because you're the only one in the world who really does it." And I really took that to heart and just kind of made a leap of faith to only recruit tech transfer. But it was at the same time when I brought in my partner, Lisa Rooney, who had a 20-year career in tech transfer. When the lady I recruited to Oak Ridge got promoted to the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, Lisa Rooney, my partner, was running tech transfer at the University of South Carolina. And since it was geographically close to Oak Ridge, that's why I called her. And one thing led to another, and Lisa's been with me for 12 plus years now.
Wow. And your firm specializes in talent acquisition for tech transfer, IP, licensing, and innovation leadership. So what are some of the key skills and traits that you look for when you're looking for talent?
That's a little bit of a trick question, because everybody that I've recruited for the last 23 years have all of those things. So if you were to go to a general recruiter, they wouldn't really understand this. So everyone we're already talking to, everyone that we have a relationship, they generally have a background in technology transfer. Then it's just a function of, okay, if this is for the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, we might need a more physical science related, maybe like, solar background, or maybe, some kind of alternative energy, as opposed to some of the DOD labs like Walter Reed Medical Center. They might need a more life science. So we have all of our database kind of segregated into physical science licensing people, life science licensing people, more venture development, more startup people, more IP related, lawyerly type people, leadership people. So we have all these segments kind of segmented out, and then we can kind of custom tailor it and find the nuances that everyone is looking for in their specific job.
How has the landscape of hiring within tech transfer and innovation changed over the last decade or so?
I think it's become more narrow. I mean, it's a narrow field to begin with, right? If you really think back and how many tech transfer people are there in the world? It's an interesting topic. And I kind of have a number here. We're here at the Autumn Conference. There's 2,200 people here. At the FLC Conference, there's probably about 800. At the Licensing Executive Society, there's probably, a couple thousand people. So that number there is 5,000. If we double that, there's only about 10,000 people in the world that do this, that have truly negotiated an exclusive patent license, because that's the crux of what FLC tech transfer people do. There's a lot of other things involved with it too, but it's a very small pool. And so the question you asked is, what has changed? I think it's, when I started this 22 years ago, if you knew what the Bayh-Dole Act was, they may hire you. Or if you've, now it's become, our clients tend to really want PhDs. I'm not sure I agree with that, because there's people that have masters in science or a bachelor of science and can do a technology transfer deal, or they've negotiated a CRADA or a work for other agreement. But I think people have become very, very picky. And I think it has a little bit to do with that. We're a specialty recruiting firm. If they're trying on their own, they might be a little bit more flexible in their requirements. But once they've decided to use a recruiting firm, they really want X, Y, Z, and PDQ.
Okay. The expectations shift.
The expectations are much higher. And then another issue, and this depends, it's all over the board, but some client might want a junior person that they can have time to train and grow into their own office. When a lot of our clients now, they're coming to us and they want someone that can hit the ground running. And so there's a term in licensing called cradle-to-grave licensing. This is someone who can, really what a lot of our clients want is someone that they don't have to teach anything. They can come, they can hit the ground running. They can say, here's this IP portfolio to take over. Just go run with it. If you have problems, come to me. So it really depends on if they can have the salary to hire that person that may, and it limits the pool of people.
Interesting. And to the extent, if you are able to answer, because you have worked with DOE, but I know that tech transfer can look a little different from agency to agency.
A lot.
Yes. So that expectation to have someone who can hit the ground running seems, how reasonable is that?
That another trick question you asked. So some places it's reasonable, some people it's not. I'm going to share with you some of my experience in the past dealing with some DOE national labs. One of the national labs, which will remain nameless, they just didn't think that anyone out of academia could negotiate a CRADA. And there is differences between what the typical university does on a license as opposed to a CRADA or a work for other agreement. But I think the skill set is transferable. And I would like to see some of the federal labs be more open, because there's 200 different universities that report their licensing stuff to Autumn, where on the federal lab side, especially the DOE national labs, there's under 20. So I think we need to cross-pollinate the federal laboratory community with maybe some people out of academic tech transfer, maybe some people out of industry, maybe some people out of pharma, maybe some people out of high tech, to get them in there to kind of cross-pollinate and get the diversity of thought.
And from the position of the job candidates, job seekers, what role does networking, mentorship opportunities, other pieces like that play?
I mean, networking's everything. Tech transfer, by definition, is a very high contact sport. So the bigger your Rolodex is, the better chance you're going to have to out-license this technology. And once again, the federal laboratories have a little bit different mission, because the licensing and the technology could be more towards For example, if Sandia National Lab invents a new trigger for a nuclear bomb, it's not like they can license that to anything. So it becomes a manufacturing issue. So the federal laboratory people, sometimes they have a little bit more of their one hand tied behind their back than a university because of national security issues. So we have to look at that. But at the end of the day, your original question was, how important is networking and mentoring? Networking is very important. Attend the FLC conference, meet with the people if you're in the DOE, meet with the people from the DOD and see what they're doing different. Collaborate, come to an autumn meeting, meet what the academic people are doing. Once again, it's the cross-pollination that I think we need more of in this world. And then your other question was the mentoring. Mm-hmm. And I know Autumn, I don't know if FLC has this too, but Autumn has a mentoring program. And it's, I meet with these junior people. They're like, oh, yeah, my mentor was so-and-so. And once again, great program. And once again, to get more, you have to give more. So if you're a senior person, help one of these junior people. It comes back in spades.
Absolutely. And I will say, just in 2024, FLC launched a pilot mentorship program. So we are going into our second cohort this year.
There you go. So good.
So that's another plug for the mentorship program.
Perfect.
What separates an average innovation team from a high-performing one?
Boy, that's a tough question. I don't really know. And I was just having a similar talk with someone earlier today in one of the partnering meetings, but the topic, what's a little different is what separates a good leader from an average leader? Mm-hmm. Because on paper, they kind of look the same. There's a gentleman I met at an FLC meeting, runs a pretty big agency, really not a very tech transfery person. I met him. I wasn't really sure. I was like, and then I talked to his people. He won a leadership award at the FLC conference. Mm. And I talked to his people, and his people love him. His people say he does such a good job managing up. He shields us from that. He lets us do our job. He has the most loyal following in the FLC community. But on paper, he doesn't stack up to some other people that I know. Mm. So, but this is a thing, working with a recruiting firm as narrow as me, I have these backstories. And if this person would want to go to ABC University or ABC different federal lab, I could say, hey, this person's background on paper looks like X, but I've talked to 10 of his people and they said why. And so if you're looking for someone that knows how to manage up and grow high performance teams, he's a real good one. It's a tough question. It's a very hard one to answer, but I'm just giving you one example.
Is it fair as a recruiter that there is an X factor in people, or is that an oversimplification?
No, you explain X factor. I'm not sure if I know what that term is.
That there is something that can't be described on paper or even really pinpointed.
There's always an X factor, and we typically know the backside of the X factor because we've met him at the past 16 autumn conferences or FLC conferences, or know someone that work with him. So once again, that's what you're getting when you're working with a specialized recruiting firm like myself. We get the backstory, and we know the backstory. And one of the last search, we did a very high level position. We had some things that were a little questionable, and we actually explained it to the person, and he acknowledged it. And when it came down to our client, we said, hey, these are the person's strengths. And the strengths were huge. We're true world-class person. Here's some weaknesses. And what the client said is, we're going to get him a professional coach. Because his strengths so exceeded these weaknesses. And then we communicated with other people in the autumn community to verify that, and then gave those responses to the hiring manager. And so if there's strengths and weaknesses, we want to know about both sides, and we want to present them to our clients so they know both sides.
Absolutely. And looking ahead, as the landscape is constantly shifting, what kinds of skills and areas of expertise would you advise that people looking to get into tech transfer really dive into?
this is an unknown industry. I mean, I don't know how long that you've heard of the word tech transfer, but nobody seems to know it. I didn't know it, 23 years ago when Battelle said, blah, 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 commercialization, tech transfer by Dole. I had a glazed look on my face. But a lot of times these scientists, they graduate, they're bench scientists. They says, well, I saw this business side. I'd like to get into this. We need more people. Mm-hmm. We need lots of more people. And then how do they get into it is another tricky question. Once again, it's, you start from the bottom, from an internship, from an MTA coordinator, however you get in, if it's at a federal lab, if it's at a university, but you just kind of have to really pursue it. Attend the FLC meetings, attend LES, attend Autumn, meet with people, network with people, connect with people on LinkedIn, have a passion for it, just like anything. I mean, if you want to be a pro football player, right, you got to live, eat, and breathe this stuff 24/7. And for the past 23 years, myself and all my team, all we do is live, breathe, and talk about tech transfer on the federal side and on the academic side.
Are there ways that you have incorporated AI into your work or that you see it impacting?
I'm going to say not enough quite yet. Our operations person, her name is Suzanne, and she's our chat GTP expert, and she's our AI expert. So when we put out emails, we'll run through chat GTP. We'll run a lot of stuff. I would say on a scale of 1 to 10 with using AI, we're a strong 2. I'd like to get that up. At the end of the day, when people are hiring us, they're hiring us for our domain expertise and the stuff you can't find, like this last story I told you about on this leadership position. You can't get that through chat GTP. Mm-hmm. So everybody says, recruiting's going to be outsourced by chat GTP. They said that about monster.com. They said that about LinkedIn. When people say, well, why should I pay your fee? I says, you shouldn't. Just go out to LinkedIn, put in your keywords, hit enter, and then find the emails of the next 500 people, send them all a personal email and then interview the next 100 and you'll find your person. But that's kind of, at the end of the day, that's what we do. So I'm trying to find more ways to use AI. And I'm open to it. We've demoed products, and I know we've used some tools that kind of recap meetings. It's been very valuable. So we're in the infancy. It's like the mid 1990s when the internet came out. When you were trying to, of course, you were younger than me, so you were born with the internet. I was not, but I mean, the first time it's like I followed a hyperlink there, and then I followed a hyperlink here, and then God only knows where I ended up, right? So, but now it's ubiquitous, right? So now it's just part of our everyday life, and in about another 4 or 5 years, AI will be just everything in our life, but we just need to know how to harness it and learn how to harness it. And you've given us lots of gems of advice, but are there any that you would really drive home or that we haven't talked about yet? Yes. Get involved with the FLC. Attend the FLC, meet people, use the FLC app, network with people, reach across the aisle to your other partners, talk to your people at your other federal labs, volunteer, get on committees. That's the thing is you need to, once you're a long time ago, my wife was in the not-for-profit and she says, you need to get on the board for the Ohio Recruiters Association. She says, it's going to be a lot of work. You'll have some good stuff. Some will be painful. Some will be bad, but you need to get involved because you're giving back, but you're going to learn so much. Mm-hmm. And so that the people that are helping on the committees at the FLC meeting, people that are being mentors, people that are talking at FLC, those are the kind of people that I want to recruit because they're active in their association. Right. They're eating, living, breathing, sleeping. Yep. You got it. And how can people
find you and find Gardner Innovation?
Right. The URL is www.gardnerisp, like internet service provider. So Gardner Innovation Search Partners. If you just put in the Google Tech Transfer Recruiter, I should come up organically, number one, because not a whole lot of other people. The old website, Gardner, our Vortex Group, still up there. It's kind of not doing a whole lot. But yeah, Glen at GardnerISP.com. And we have a website. Take a look at it. There's a lot of valuable information there. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, and happy to accept it. If you'd like to, schedule a call with myself or one of my people. We have 3 other people, all that live, eat, breathe this stuff 24/7. But this is all we do. This is our life. We love it. We've drank the Autumn and FLC Kool-Aid, and we like the Kool-Aid. I'm not smart enough to be a tech transfer person. I don't have a PhD, JD, MBA. I'm very honored to serve this community. I don't take it lightly. I take it very seriously, and I really enjoy being involved in this community.
Thank you so much, Glen, for your time and your insights.
Thank you.
Thanks again to Glen, and thank you for listening and spreading the word about this podcast. Subscribe and listen to more episodes on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform. Check the show notes or the episode page at federallabs.org for links to the Gardner Innovation Search Partners website and Glen's LinkedIn. You'll also find a link to the FLC Learning Center, a digital library of training courses, webinars, and other resources. Browse content organized by career pathway and professional level, so you can find what you need to fit the stage and role you're in. If you want to hear more about leadership and what it takes to build and lead a tech transfer program, revisit episode 6, our conversation with Dr. John Kaplan, the director of the Tech Transfer Program at the Department of Veterans Affairs. Thanks to our producer and digital marketing manager, Carly Dunnow, graphics manager, Danny Batchelor, web content and systems manager, Jess Klein, and the FLC staff and community for your support. We'll see you back in 2 weeks on Transfer Files Tuesday. Thanks for tuning in to the Transfer Files, your insider's look at federal tech transfer. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay connected for more episodes exploring how hundreds of government laboratories and countless industry partners are driving innovations that shape our lives.